Hello to you all, and thank you so much for joining me for this message. I have words coming through me from a divine masculine. This is going to be a direct transmission, so please only take what resonates. It is possible that only some of the messages will apply to you, but I believe there will be value for all. And when I say divine masculine, please know that this, could be from your own internal divine masculine aspect or some form of a higher self version of a masculine you're aware of. There's a smile on his face, and he says, a promise is a promise. Something that he said before is that every wish starts off as a dream. A wish cannot be fulfilled if the wish is not believed. The purpose of this message is to reconcile the impossible with possible, to bring these two ideas into clarity so that they can become one. You see, what happens is that when we have a dream, and when I speak about a dream, I'm referring to something that occurs to us or that we experience in our mind's eye that presents with all of its feeling. So the experience itself visits us in our being to be experienced. The purpose of this is so that we can manifest it. It is to teach us the possibility, the possible. How possible the dream is based on how possible it feels. And I'm sharing this, explaining this, so that you can tell the difference, for example, between, let's say you have a dream where you're flying like an eagle, When you wake up and you recall that dream, it felt real, but did it feel possible? There is a difference between a dream that you feel is possible and a dream that you can sort of draw messages out of and, remember the feeling of and the freedom of, let's say. But there is a type of a dream, that feels like a promise. This is the type of dream that we are talking about. The dream that is a promise, Because the message here is that a promise is a promise. I'd like to ask you to listen for understanding. This is the kind of dream, the kind of dream I'm referring to is the type that triggers a complete life shift in perspective, that sends you on a quest to figure out what it is you need to strip away out of your thinking, out of your heart, out of your body, in order to make this thing possible, this dream. So it starts to shift you in a way that makes you ask yourself, how can I get this thing? How can this dream become true? Now, what's important to understand is that the reason the dream is planted, because it comes from somewhere. The reason the dream is planted is for the purposes of activation, to let you know what is possible, okay? To trigger a shift in your trajectory, a shift in your understanding of what is possible for you, okay? And also of how you view the world. Embedded in it is literally a function that leads you to question who you are, what you want to change, where you want to be, all of those things. Okay? And that's the journey. If you're listening to this, that is the journey that you have been on. The one that has led you to gather all of this information that you've brought towards yourself to understand your world, your inner world, your outer world, the inquirer in you, the seeker in you, okay? The one that has transformed into a person who is constantly absorbing information about their environment. Yes, your survival instincts have also triggered this, but it's important to understand that survival was not the reason for the dream. The reason for the dream was to create a goal and to activate a path. The dream is what motivates you to walk the path, to fulfill your part of the promise. This journey, the quest, is where you gather all of the information that you're going to need. Okay? And I'm here with this message because you now have all of the information that you need. And what I want to talk to you about today is the reason for that gap that separates what you see as impossible, okay, and why you see it as impossible. It's possible that you would not really refer to this dream coming to life as impossible. But if you look at your mental narrative around it, there is doubt. Okay, so the wish stands strong. The wish stands strong. The dream still feels real. You could relive the dream any second of the day and it takes you back to the place. Okay? But when you look at how time has passed and you look at the distance, you experience disappointment, which immediately leads your mind to maybe not calling it that, but behaving as though this might not be possible. I heard that the tables have turned. The way I'm understanding this is there was a time where you had an expectation that there was a delay, an external delay, stopping you from achieving this dream. And what I'm hearing is that you recently called out. Okay, this might have been internally or with an outer voice. You called out asking for help. Okay? Asking for answers. When. This message is regarding that. I need you to stop panicking. I need you to stop panicking. Your panic is born of doubt. The doubt is from prolonged disappointment. When I say the tables have turned, there was a time and a period where you honored the responsibility of the dream to meet you. Okay? A trust that the dream will come true in the right time. Let's call it divine timing. The tables have turned because there is also a responsibility that you hold. These responsibilities, I've written them down actually, I got this morning, are faith, belief, trust, wisdom, order, self-restraint, and regulation. I'm going to repeat them because all of these are essentially what form the blocks that cause delays. All of these are what form all of the information that you have gathered. You have all the information that you need. You have all the information that you need. Your dream is fulfilled. You experienced it. You had the feeling. You felt the promise in it. You felt the promise in it. The only evidence you will ever get that this dream can come true is when it comes true. Okay? And so to wait for it to come true, before you start to have faith, before you start to believe, before you trust, before you live by your own wisdom, before you live in order with your own wisdom, before you practice self-restraint, okay, that goes against what you know does not work for you. Okay, I want to go a bit further into this because it can very easily touch on the ideas of right and wrong. Okay, it can very easily touch on the ideas of right and wrong. I'm going to preview a video that deals with the ideas of right and wrong on the screen and in the description box below, because I don't want to repeat that here and now. But what I'm referring to here is what you've learned, because what is right and wrong is actually not enough of a way to view life in truth. Okay? When something is true for you, it's once you have learned it and once you have felt that it is true for you. And this is how we feel that something is true for us, is when we shift how we deal with something or shift how we think about something, and it changes how we see it. It changes how we feel about it. And so then we have an internal knowing of what works for us and what doesn't work for us. In reality, in our own reality, not someone else's reality, in our own reality. In a sense, I'm speaking to behavior. Okay, so how you make decisions around people, places, and things in your own life. This very much is personal and depends on how you see it. But this is about alignment. This is not about right and wrong. This is about behaving in order and in alignment with what you believe to be good for you. And so that is self-restraint, because when you are in a certain pattern of behaving in a certain way and responding in a certain way, okay, when you gain an awareness on this behavior not working for you, it can take time for the truth to settle inside of you, to change how you respond to things and how you behave when it comes to certain things. These things are personal. And so that's the self-restraint I'm referring to. In short, it's the idea of giving yourself a chance to see how things work. Okay? Because again, this is a learning journey, finding the truth, your own truth. And so you give a certain way of life, a certain behavior, a chance to see what the result is. And once you've observed the result, you then have that information. Okay? And then you can't say you don't have the information. Once you have seen a result from a change in your own behavior, that is when wisdom is integrated. However, there are still times where we continue, because of external pressures and, perceived pressures, we continue to behave in ways that go against what we know to be true and what we know personally to be wise. This is the self-restraint I'm referring to. It's that sometimes physical, mental, and emotional battle against oneself. And it's so important when engaging in this battle to not shift the internal narrative to accommodate the behavior. It is one thing to continue with the behavior with an awareness that this is not good for you, so that you give yourself a chance to change your behavior when you finally feel that sense of self-restraint. It is another thing to change how you word it in your mind to accommodate the behavior, because you essentially are then unteaching yourself your own wisdom. And the last one on the list is regulation. And I believe this one to be, of all of them, the toughest on the list. It is the toughest, and please take this as it resonates for you. It is the toughest because your body is the first to respond even before something is understood. On a subconscious level, there are patterned narratives that respond before your conscious mind, okay, before you're able to actually apply your thinking. When something happens, it triggers your body to respond in the way that you usually respond. This is important to understand, is that this one takes time to heal. Regulation takes time to heal. It is so important because it is the most frequent trigger of mental narrative that does not serve your dream. When your body feels tight, when your body feels nervous, all of your energy is then absorbed. Okay, a lot of your energy that should be focused on attracting with ease, a lot of your energy is absorbed by all of these difficult emotions. And so even when then you start thinking with your conscious mind to say, no, I don't want to think that, okay, because you're in that self-restraint sort of thinking pattern that you've worked very hard on, to recondition and to rewire how you think. What you need to understand here is that the rate at which energy is consumed by fear and urgency, desperation, all of those feelings, that your body responds to very quickly before your conscious mind, they absorb at a much faster rate than, the easiest way to put this is, than you can keep up with. Okay, in terms of keeping your peace and keeping your energy at a balance. If you know that you keep having this body response to these triggers, that is your signal that you do not believe your dream is possible. That your delays that you've experienced have convinced you of this. In a way, this is not black and white, where if your nervous system still responds in ways that you prefer it not to, that your dream won't come true. Okay, so please don't understand what I'm saying in this way. But there is still this very relative way that each of us relate to the meaning of delay. Regulation is the toughest aspect of this journey, and it's the cause of most delays. I've now come out of channeling. I was experiencing almost like a looping sort of flat line in transmission, and so much anxiety in my solar plexus. A lot of fears coming up, a lot of doubt coming up. And with this word regulation and the biggest cause of delays, that explanation, what I'm understanding here is there is a karmic loop in play. It's like karmic loop responses. Okay, and so you think of this thing, this dream, this wish. You think about it, and there is an aspect of you that responds from a karmic aspect of you. I'm going to record a part 2 to this message. Okay? I need to, and I actually don't even know how many parts I'm going to end up with here because I feel like there's so much to distill. I'll leave a link to the extended in the description box below. It'll be clearly marked part 2. It's going to be here on YouTube. If you decide to join me, I'll see you there.